Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Millions and millions of Americans can no longer access their stock portfolios as the market crashes. They are halting withdrawals. I'm talking about Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, UPS, CenturyLink, Interactive Brokerages currently down or reporting errors amid market crashes. Not to mention, Robinhood is also down. The U.S. stock market going through the biggest reduction in a single 24-hour period on the Dow that we've ever seen, the NASDAQ. Look at this.
I've never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. Down
1,000 points. 6% right out of the get-go. Now, what if I were to tell you that this is a drop in the bucket compared to what's going on globally and what's going to be coming to America?
Traders may want to put on their hard hats. Global stock market intensifies as the sell-off continues.
Because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening and exactly what I believe is going to happen next. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's going on in our economy. And today's video is sponsored by ITM Trading, but more on that in just a little bit. Take a look at this. So the stock and crypto market combined wiped out $3.8 trillion worth of liquidity inside of the last 7 days. You have Japanese stocks crash in the biggest one day ever as global rout intensifies. Just came out. So Japanese stocks crashed the biggest event, basically ever. South Korea stock slump most since late 2008, also came out today. Taiwan as index suffers worst day in 57 years. So all three of those countries are crashing. And then you have what's happening in the U.S. stock market and what's going on with these brokerages, not letting people access their money. What do you think is going to happen next, right? I said Robinhood, they halt trading. Look at this. Even Bitcoin. Everyone said Bitcoin would be a store of value. What's going to happen as the market does crash and people have money in Bitcoin? It's easy to sell, right? It's easy to sell. You're going to start seeing, I think, a lot of volatility inside the crypto markets going throughout the rest of the year. I think we're going to see a lot of volatility. Same thing, Ethereum has performed extremely well. It's still up this year. But you look at this drop from 3,200 to 2,400, in the course of 24 hours, and that's shocking. Gold has actually held up quite well, though. It's down 1.35%. I personally believe that we're going to see central banks. I think we're going to see, governments. I think we're going to see pension funds, hedge funds, you're going to see sovereign wealth funds, high net worth individuals, and everyday people all throughout the world as more and more governments print money, store into gold. They're going to start leaning into gold to try to store their value. It's, that's what's happened last, 5,000 years. People held their wealth in gold. I think that's going to continue. And I think that the next couple of years is going to be even more true. So what percentage of Americans own stock? 61% of Americans report that they own stock based on an April economy, right? So you think about this. Many people think that they are wealthy, they are rich because they have home equity and they have a stock portfolio that's done extremely well. Well, you think about that. The stock market, the Dow has doubled over the last 5 years. This is 1,000 points. This isn't the biggest, it's nothing huge. But the fact that all the brokerages are halting trading and everything that's happening, on a world stage, when we walk into the big one, what's going to happen, right? People are going to start panicking. They're going to start panicking. And when they start panicking, what do? They sell. They sell because of emotion, right? And so when people have stocks and they're trying to sell their stocks, so they have a home, they think their home's worth $500,000, but in reality, consumers are tapped out. They can't buy houses right now. You look at sales volume, it's crashing. People can't afford to buy a house. Here at mortgage activity is the lowest level since 1995, right? Home sales are just down. So when people try to sell, there's a small finite pool of buyers and a lot of sellers. Supply and demand are going to determine value and determine price. You're going to see prices come down in a very, very big way on the housing market. Home sales declining. Sales fell 5.4% from May to June, and also from June to June of 2023 to 2024. You have a conversation now about an emergency rate cut. I wonder if that will actually happen. I believed that they're not going to see any rate cuts in 2024. Unless we see something really, really big, like what we're seeing now. If this intensifies, they might do it. But then again, they might just pretend that, nothing, not a big deal. And in a day or 2 days, 3 days, most Americans will forget about this ever happening. So it'll be interesting to watch this. But many people also believe that if we see a rate cut, that the economy is going to be booming and that everything is going to be great But the reality is, what will likely happen? If they cut rates, the rich are going to refinance their debt and they're going to invest heavily. They're going to be acquiring assets. And the poor and middle class, how many people can actually qualify for a loan right now? Based on their debt to income ratios. Not that many people. So look at Japan, for example. Japan, their bank will sell more than 10 trillion yen, $63 billion worth of its holdings in U.S. and European bonds during the year ending from now until March 2025. So over the next 9 months, they're going to sell $63 billion. Meanwhile, America needs to sell $10 trillion in bonds every year. So look at this. It says that, repeat that, the bottom line is that someone will need to buy more than 10 trillion U.S. bonds in 2024. That is more than 1/3 of U.S. government debt outstanding and more than 1/3 of U.S. GDP. Repeat that trend every year for the foreseeable future. That's almost 11 trillion every year until 2030. That's happening at a time when foreign investors have been shrinking their ownership of U.S. bonds since 2015. Now, I'm on the inflation train. I think that we are going to be walking into massive inflation, and I think that a lot of governments aren't going to want to buy our debt. I think they're going to be pulling away, trying to deal with their own problems and hedge themselves from volatility. And you ask yourself, who's going to be buying all these bonds? It's going to be America. America's going to be buying our bonds. They're going to be printing more money. And so you just think about, what is this going to mean? I believe this is going to mean a lot of people are going to be investing heavily into farmland, and they're going to be looking for security. They're not going to be looking for these 10, 20x returns like they were in crypto a year or so ago. They're not going to be looking for, consistent 10% appreciation in, the stock market, or 20% appreciation. Stocks have been crazy the last couple of years. They're going to be looking to store their wealth. That's what I believe. And I think gold is going to do really, really well. If you're interested in learning about gold, click the link in the description to learn about what ITM trading, could do for you. They offer free consultations. I would definitely take a look at it, because the more information you have, the better decision you can make. So in addition to this, you have 44% of Americans stating that they have trouble keeping up with their basic utilities. 44% of Americans can't keep up with basic utilities. You have default rates on credit cards. The lowest is like 12%, 12, 13%. Most of these states are in the 20% range. 20% of Americans can't keep up with their bills. Well, in the top 100 cities, it's actually nearly 30% according to LendingTree. So nearly 30% of Americans in top 100 largest metros are behind on payments. That is insane. 30%, right, can't pay their bills. And you look at family income. This is what's shocking to me. Some people say, we're going to have a soft landing. Look at the consumer. In 2007, the peak of the housing market, the household income was $83,800, right? And the average home price back then, $246,000, right? Now, they say that our average household income is $97,000, but the average household income is actually going down. It went from $97,970 to $92,750. So the difference between the two, talking about $10,000, $9,000, right? So about $700-800 a month. However, they say that home prices are all-time highs, and in addition to that, you have home prices they say are in the $390,000 to $400,000 range, $397,000. So how can home prices almost double from $246,000, they're up 70%, to $400K? Not to mention insurance is a multiple of what it was back then. Property taxes, upkeep, property, just repairs, everything is way, way, way more expensive. So if you have 30% of Americans behind on their bills in the top 100 metros, you have home prices up 60, 70% from where they were in 2007, food prices through the roof, consumers are walking into a horrible job market. You have Intel slashing 15% of jobs. You start to look at in a lot of these other companies, a lot of tech companies are going to be laying off more and more and more employees, but I believe that the layoffs have just begun. You don't think that employers are looking at this stock market, 1,000 point drop, looking at where consumers are, saying, you know what, do we need all these staff? Do we need all these people? That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be issuing layoffs. So you think about this, massive government money printing, layoffs, immense consumer debt and household debt. It's a crisis for Main Street, and it's an absolute mass opportunity for Wall Street. That's what we're going to be walking into. If they do cut rates, Wall Street, it's going to be like Christmas Eve. If you're a 5-6-year-old kid, Christmas Eve, you can't go to sleep because you're so excited about the presents you'll get the next day. That's what a rate cut is for Wall Street, for these big funds. They're going to run out there and scoop up a lot of distress. What do you think about this situation? Where do you see all this going? When you have Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, you have all of these countries crashing, and then with it, America and all these brokerage accounts at the same time. Where do you see this going? Let's have a conversation about this below. And if you'd like to learn more about investing in gold, silver, precious metals, learning about it, click the link in the description just below this video to schedule a free call with ITM Trading. I'll catch you next video.